Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like something went terribly wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on what it was? You said something honest, you meant well, and somehow the other person is now cold, distant, or worse, they're upset with you. And you're standing there replaying the whole thing in your head thinking, how did this happen again? That feeling right there. That's what we're going to fix today. Because here's the truth that most people never talk about. The problem isn't that you're too honest. The problem isn't that you care too much or that you're too emotional or too direct. The problem is that nobody ever taught you the actual mechanics of how to say what you mean without the conversation blowing up in your face. And that's not your fault. Think about it. You spent years in school learning math, history, science. But not once did anyone sit you down and teach you how to express a difficult thought to someone you love without it turning into an argument. Not once did anyone show you how to say no without guilt-eating you alive. Not once did anyone hand you a roadmap for these impossible conversations that seem to happen every single week. So what do most people do? They stay silent. They swallow the truth. They smile when they're dying inside. They agree when every part of them is screaming no. And they tell themselves it's fine. I don't want to cause drama. I'll just let it go. But it never really lets go, does it? That resentment builds. That unspoken truth sits in your chest like a stone. And slowly, quietly, the relationships you care about most start to crack under the weight of everything you never said. That's the cost of silence that nobody talks about. It doesn't protect the relationship. It slowly destroys it. And here's what's even harder. When you finally do speak up, it often comes out wrong. Because you've been holding it in so long that it explodes. And suddenly you're not having a conversation anymore. You're in a war. And you're wondering, why does this keep happening to me? You're not broken. You're just missing a few critical pieces that change everything. And before I go deeper, if you already feel like this is something you've been struggling with for a long time, we have related programs linked down below in the video description. People who have gone through them have completely transformed how they communicate in their relationships, and the results have been nothing short of life-changing. But don't take my word for it yet. Keep watching, because I want you to actually feel why this matters first. Let's talk about the silent relationship killer that nobody warns you about. Every time you don't say what you mean, you teach the people around you a false version of you. They think you're okay when you're not. They think you agree when you don't. They think the relationship is fine when it's fracturing from the inside. And over time, they stop really knowing you. And you stop feeling truly known. And that loneliness, that aching feeling of being surrounded by people who somehow don't really see you, that's one of the most painful human experiences there is. Psychologists have studied this for decades. The couples, the friendships, the families that last, the ones that actually go the distance. They don't survive because they never fight. They survive because they learned how to speak the truth and keep the connection intact at the same time. That's a learnable skill. And it changes everything. So let's break this down into something simple. Something you can actually use starting today. The first thing you need to understand is that timing is everything. There's a moment in every conversation where the door is open and a moment where it's slammed shut. Most people try to have hard conversations when emotions are already at a peak, when someone is already defensive, already hurt, already overwhelmed, and then they wonder why it doesn't go well. The most powerful communicators in the world wait for calm, not because they're afraid of conflict, because they know calm is where real change happens. Think about the last difficult conversation you had. Where were you? What time was it? How are both of you feeling in that moment? I'd bet everything that the timing was off. And that one shift alone, just choosing the right moment, can reduce the tension of a hard conversation by more than half. The second piece is how you start. Research consistently shows that the first 7 seconds of a difficult conversation determine how the entire exchange will go. Most people open with what the other person did wrong, and the moment you do that, their brain shifts into protection mode. Walls go up, logic goes out the window. And now you're not having a conversation. You're having a standoff. The people who are genuinely gifted at communication, and yes, this is a skill that can be learned, they start with connection before content. They establish safety before they deliver the truth. Not in a manipulative way, in a deeply human way. Because when someone feels safe, they can actually hear you. The third piece is the language you use. There's a difference between saying you always do this and saying when this happens, I feel this way. One puts someone on trial, the other opens a door. One creates a villain. The other creates a conversation. Studies in communication science have found that this single language shift, moving from accusation to observation, reduces defensive reactions by an enormous margin. And it feels more honest, not less, because it actually is more accurate to how you're experiencing reality. The fourth piece, and this one is the one that most people completely skip, is what you do after you speak. Most people say the hard thing and then hold their breath waiting for the reaction. But the real magic happens in the pause after you speak, in giving the other person space to actually process what you said, in not rushing to fill the silence with more words because you're anxious. That space is where understanding is born. That silence is where walls come down. And most people are so uncomfortable with silence that they talk right over the moment where genuine connection could have happened. Now here's something I want you to really feel for a second. Imagine a version of your life where you never dread conversations anymore, where you can say what you actually mean and feel closer to people afterward, not further apart, where your partner understands you on a level that feels almost unreal, where your friendships are built on actual honesty instead of everyone tiptoeing around each other, where you can say no without guilt and yes without resentment, where you wake up and you don't have a single unresolved conversation sitting in your chest. That version of your life is not a fantasy. People are living it right now. People who 2 years ago were exactly where you are today, exhausted from miscommunication, drained by relationships that felt like work, terrified of saying the wrong thing. And then they invested in learning these skills at a deep level. Surface-level tips, deep transformational rewiring of how they communicate, and the ripple effect into every area of their lives has been staggering. Relationships healed that they thought were permanently broken. Boundaries set that they had been failing to enforce for years. Promotions earned because they finally could advocate for themselves clearly and powerfully. Marriages rebuilt from near collapse. And friendships deepened into something that actually felt like home. Because communication isn't just a soft skill. It's the foundation of every single thing in your human experience. Every relationship, every opportunity, every version of your life that you're trying to build. It all runs through how you express yourself and how you receive others. So here's where I'm going to leave you. You have a choice to make. You can take these insights, appreciate them, and keep doing things mostly the same way. Maybe make small adjustments here and there, and that's okay. Some things will improve. Or you can go deeper. You can commit to actually mastering this. And if that's you, the programs linked down below in the video description are exactly what you need next. The people who moved on this quickly, who didn't wait until they felt more ready or had more time, are the ones seeing the most dramatic results right now. The window of taking that next real step is always shorter than it feels. Don't be the person who watches this video, feels something shift, and then does nothing. You already know what staying the same costs you. The description is right below. The next step is already waiting.